Hey, great to have you here. So now on to starter deck 18, and probably not good at this point. I'm starting to lose my voice covering all of these starter decks, but we will trudge through and continue on. As usual, we'll set that aside. We'll put the PRB pack on top of it to open up later as well. And I haven't really taken a look at this Luffy one. I'm curious to see if there's anything in here. I don't play purple, but I'm open to doing so in the future. So I'm curious if there's anything in here that's a staple that people are playing with. Let me know your guys' thoughts if this is a deck that you really like. I know I've been talking about a few of these already, but if I'm like screwing up and saying like, hey, this card's not worthwhile, and it actually is, would love to see you guys let me know like, hey, here's an instance where you'd want to play that. So let's start off with the leader himself. So Luffy, as if we don't have enough Luffy leaders, kidding, but let's take a look at what he does here. Activate main, you may add one card from the top of your life to your hand. If you have 0 or 3 or more Don cards on your field, add up to 1 Don card from your deck and set as active. So Don ramping situation here. If you start with 0, or I guess you don't really start with 0. If you get down to 0, you can always get back to 1. But then once you're playing and you're on at least turn 2 or greater than that, you'll have Don cards. Will you be able to take a life card and ramp your Don? That's interesting. That's kind of risky. Adding 1 card from the top of your life to your hand. I don't know. I mean, let me know what you guys think. Is this something that you feel is viable? I feel like taking life as purple, not as like somebody like yellow who can kind of gain life cards. Is this something that you guys feel like is worthwhile? Love to see your thoughts there. All right, this is a character I'm not familiar with. We got a Zoro Juro. So I'm not super far in the anime or manga. So let me know. How does this guy come into play? Obviously it's Zoro, but he's like looking, I don't know, a little like kind of like a punk type look to him. But 4 cost, 6,000 power. On play, look at 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal to 1. Straw Hat and add it to your hand. Okay, so it's a searcher. It's a 4 cost, 6k searcher. That's a little strange. I feel like those are normally low cost guys. All right, okay, I'm sensing a trend. There must be something that happens where every character has like a different aesthetic to them, because we got Luffy, but he's like Teru. 7 cost, 8k, and on play, you return a Don, play up to 1 purple Straw Hat tape with the cost of 5 or less from your hand. Okay, so it's like a play something else, and you're ramping Don anyway, so him being worth 7 and giving 1 up probably isn't the worst thing in the world. On play, if you have 8 or more Don cards in your field, rest up to your 1 opponent characters with the cost of 5 or less. That's kind of nice to rest like a blocker. All right, and then we have our own blocker. On play, if you have 8 or more Don, trash 1 card from your hand and draw 2. All right, so maybe this is like a heavy reliance on 8 Don cards. I know like black, the starter deck 14, having 8 cost was a big thing, so it seems like maybe 8 Don is a big thing for this deck. All right, 5 cost, 6k. When attacking once per turn, if you have 8 or more Don cards, you'll draw 1 card. Yep, okay. Sensing a trend, we want to be at 8. The problem is you're ramping down, but you're ramping back up, so maybe it works out enough. Give a Don when attacking. If you have 8 or more Don cards on your field, rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less. Okay. So we got some resting opponent's characters. So you're resting probably blockers, as I mentioned. I bet you can't guess what we have a qualifier here. If you have 8 or more Don, KO up to 1 of your opponent characters with a cost of 3 or less. That's kind of nice. I mean, 8 or more Don, I guess you ramp pretty quickly with purple potentially, but KOing a 3 or less late game, maybe it's that blocker as I mentioned. Then we have, once again, our own blocker. If you have 10 Don, he gets plus 1,000 power. Okay, that's not necessarily overly helpful. I feel like probably not going to wind up having that situation too often. When attacking, if you have 3 or less life cards, add up to 1 Don card from your Don deck and set it as active. Okay, so trying to ramp Don. On play, set to 1 straw with 6,000 power less is active. Okay. That's actually not the worst. If you have somebody who's attacking with 6,000 power and you put this guy out there, then you send him as active, then you can attack again. Don't hate that. Feels like kind of circumstantial, but okay. If you have 8 or more Don cards and feel this character gains rush. If you give him a Don. Well, he's a 2k counter too, so it's okay. Got all of these cards, 8 or more Don. Give up to 2 opponents' characters minus 2,000 power during this turn. Okay, so you're pretty much clearing board with this guy. Look at 3 cards. Okay, so you're adding, it's like a searcher event. Oh, I like the aesthetic of this one. Just a 10 cost, 12,000 power vanilla. So just straight up, I'm gonna come at you with a lot of attack. And that's it. Not bad. I feel like these probably have a lot of synergies maybe with other cards. The whole 8 Dawn thing is very specific, so you need to be mindful of how you're playing this because you want to make sure you're meeting that qualification. And you want to get there early, which you can do with purple, but you probably want to be staying there. You don't want to be doing anything crazy where you're dropping from like 8 down to 0 again necessarily. So I think overall, it's reasonable. It's probably better than some of the starter decks. I think still so far blue is probably the best. Maybe purple is after that, and then red, then green. Let me know what you guys think thus far, but those are my thoughts overall on this deck. What do you guys think? Is this one that you picked up? Appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I hope to talk to you again soon.